So we're starting off with the Get to Know Our UCSB First-Gen Transfer Students. Today we have Adam Arnold majoring in Music Studies, Dominique Advice in majoring in Communication, and Monica Sosinian majoring in Sociology. And we will give them a few minutes to introduce themselves and their involvements with UCSB, academia, and yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so happy that you guys are here. I'm so happy you guys made it. My name is Monica Zasunian. I use she, her pronouns. I am a sociology major and I'm a applied psych minor. Currently I live in Pasadena, but I moved to IV during fall. Some things that I'm involved in I'm gonna be during the fall academic year, I'm going to be a co-discussion leader for Ed 118. So I'm not too sure if any of y'all are in Ed 118, but it's basically a transfer class. It's under the education subtitle or whatever. It's under education, and it's basically just a class that helps transfer students become more aware with campus resources and even like get to know other transfer students. I believe the class is currently full for fall, but they will be having one for winter, so I strongly recommend. It's 4 units, 4 upper division units, so you guys should definitely apply and maybe you get to meet some new people. I'm also a part of the TSA, which is the Transfer Student Alliance. I am their diversity director, and I will be holding office hours during fall. So if you guys have time, come and chat with me. That would be really great to get to know all of you, and maybe you get to know other people as well. I believe EOP and the Transfer Student Center is also going to be continuing Coffee and Community, which is the place for transfer students and a place for first-gen students. So swing by, that would be also really great. I am also part of CIRC, which is really long, and we're in the process of changing it, but it's Students Initiated Recruitment and Retention Program or Committee. And basically what we do is we try to help high school students get familiar with college life and college experiences and kind of like putting them on the track for university bound, because I know like it's difficult, especially like transitioning. So yeah, so that's basically it. Thank you.
I can go next. My name is Dominique Advice. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a rising senior. I am a communication major and an applied psych minor. Some things I'm involved in is I work for the TSC as a peer educator, and I'm also a student life intern at Student Leadership and Engagement. Previously OSL, but is now SEAL. And then like for orgs and everything, I am the co-founder and president of Association of Multi-Ethnic Persons, which is an inclusive org on campus that works to build a social community for all cultures and ethnicities, sexualities on campus. So if you're ever looking to, find a social group, even on Zoom and virtually with everything going on, we're really open to having new members and everything like that. So yeah, excited to get to know some of you today.
What's up, guys? My name is Adam. I'm a music studies major, second year transfer, 4th year student at UCSB. I'm involved in a couple world music ensembles on campus, and hopefully this year I'll also be involved with the KCSB radio station on campus. So looking forward to that. Besides that, just kind of make my way through in the process of applying to law school for next year. So that's been a journey all of its own, and just looking forward to my final here at UCSB and just making the most of it. Thanks, y'all.
Thank y'all for introducing yourself. And with that, I'd like to get into our questions that we have for y'all. And first, we want to know, what was your experience as first-generation college students? Would any panelists like to go first?
I'll go. For me, it's just, I think being first gen is all about kind of exploring the unknown. I mean, for me, it's like my parents didn't go to college, so there's certain experiences that you would tend to talk to your parents about or feel about like, oh, I went through this experience or I had this experience, you can't really, you have to look for other ways to kind of find people to share your experiences with or find help because they don't really know how to help you navigate those certain situations. So it can be a challenge, but I think it's also part of the fun and just exploring new things and making the most of it.
Wait, sorry, Sophie, can you repeat the question? I think you cut out for me when you were saying it. Something about first gen?
Yes, so just your experience as a first generation college student.
Okay, so yes, I am a transfer student. So with going to college, just to be honest, like, my parents either went to trade school or found other ways of, working after school. And so, kind of having to figure things out on my own or asking friends and trying to navigate everything was kind of hard. But I found that I really needed to use the resources that my CC and my UC now gave me. And it's like, those resources are really there to help you. So taking that extra step and like looking it up online or used to be able to like to go in are really key in getting ahead and seeing, what's there for you. And I found, friends like didn't know about certain resources that I found out about, and I was able to share those with them. And so really taking advantage of, everything that the school has to offer for you can really be helpful at times like this if you're the first of your family to really be going to college.
Yeah, I think I have very similar experience to both Adam and Dominique. I think being first gen and especially being first gen transfer student, it's very difficult. You have to find out about all these resources potentially like on your own. So it really does help if you have like other people, like other like friends or even a group chat where you guys like share resources. And I found that's really helpful. It's also really hard because sometimes, like Adam said, you have family that aren't too familiar with like college life and college experiences and applications and deadlines and how like resumes, like they're not too familiar with any of that. So it definitely like I would encourage you guys to like reach out to resources, reach out to even like us, people that might like know a little bit more of what you guys are looking for. And that goes a very long way because it is a very tough process and you don't always have to do it on your own. And I think that's what I've like learned being first gen, that because when being first gen, I thought like, oh, I have to do everything on my own because like nobody, like my family doesn't really know. But no, you find people, you find resources, you find community, and it's really great. So yeah.
Thank y'all for sharing. And it's true, as first gen, the people we're surrounded by, our family, hadn't gone to college and university, and they don't necessarily know what resources there are. So I'm asking again the panelists, is there any one piece of advice y'all want to share with students?
For me personally, this might not pertain to everyone, but at my transfer, like I really took advantage of EOPS. There was a lot of benefits that they gave me. Also, EBT, having access to that. I know it might not exactly be related with academics, but I think to focus and do the best that you can with academics, you need to make sure, you're good with having food on your table, like having access to things that are really going to help you thrive in that area of academics. Google Calendar, being organized, having a layout. Going to college and like being away, you might not have that structure of a home life. So I mean, now it's different, but just having structure and being organized and having your priorities straight is really important. And it's kind of you're kind of like that pioneer for your family, because the younger generation, people after you, are really going to look up to you and be like, wow, like they're the one that went to college, they're the one that did this, and like you have all this potential to do really great things, and like I know you're going to, and it's just like it's a really powerful thing. So like making sure you have your needs met is really important. So that's something that I try to tell myself and try to make sure I keep up to date with myself.
Yeah, I guess I could go next. I guess a piece of advice I'd want you guys to take away from this is to apply to anything and everything, whatever you guys are interested in. I really want you guys to apply to, because I mean, the worst thing people could say is no, like, oh no, you didn't get the position. So apply, like if you are even relatively interested, take some time away from like your day and apply to that position, because who knows, maybe you will, and then that might be like a great experience. So, and then another thing, I know we're only supposed to say one thing, but another thing I really encourage you guys to do is like really like be mindful of yourselves and your bodies and like your well-being, because I know COVID is very real. And if you're home, like spend some time away from like the computer and like even your family, and like make sure to set boundaries with your family. Be like, hey, you know what, like these are the times I'm gonna be on the computer. I really need to be like like quiet or my own space. So just ask for help when needed. Don't be afraid to reach out for CAPS, which is like counseling center at UCSB. They do counseling over Zoom or through the phone. So, and I believe you get like 5 sessions being a UCSB student. So definitely like take advantage of that. If COVID, like I said, COVID is crazy and it's scary, and this is all very new to all of us. So take care of yourselves.
And yeah, just to echo what Dominique and Monica said, I think the single piece of advice that I would really give is just ask questions. Just ask everyone and everything about anything. And especially how Monica said, like, especially now that everything's virtual, it's even more important because you can't just walk into the office and be like, hey, how does this work? Or how does this particular resource work? So it's even more important to ask your fellow students and peer mentors or whatever to see what's going on. And also just to continue with that is don't be afraid to look into things or think that things don't necessarily apply to you, because most cases they probably will. Like I know for me, I'd be like, oh, like I probably won't like qualify for this program, or that won't apply to me, I won't get this grant. But then I end up applying for it, and then I end up getting some money for it, and it's like, well, I'm glad I ended up applying for it, because if I wouldn't, I would have never got the grant. So just be open to those opportunities, because as both other peers said too, there's a lot of resources and opportunities on campus that are for you. So definitely ask questions and try and take advantage of as many as possible, because that's what they're there for.
Thank y'all for sharing. Yes, it's very insightful. Now I want to open up the space. If any of y'all have questions, please send them in the chat to any of Lance or Mika. And as for now, I do have a question for y'all. I just want to know, like, when did y'all decide what majors you wanted to pursue?
I guess I could go first. It was really hard. Yeah, it was really hard choosing majors. Like I think I didn't really choose until like the last, when I was applying for to come to UCSB, and even then I was like undeclared for so long. But I realized that, and something you guys could something to take away as well is you could take different classes. Even if your major is something specific, you could take, sometimes there's like a list, and you have to go, depending, it's mostly for what is it, like sociology, and anyways, it's mostly it's not like for biology or any like sciences, it's mostly like social sciences. There you go, social sciences. But you could basically take classes that aren't in your major, but you could use them to use towards your major, so like elective units. And so that's something I really enjoyed with Soc. So I wasn't never too sure, because for a very long time I was undeclared, but I think I just really ended up liking all my Soc classes. So that's when I finally decided I was gonna stick through being a Soc major, because I love it so much. But yeah.
I can go. So I feel like I knew I wanted to do communication pretty early on, just after taking a communication course. I really fell in love with it and everything I was learning, and there's a lot of these common sense topics that, you know, we kind of just know about, but then it's like going into class and hearing theories on it and people writing books about it. And it's like, wow, this is so interesting. These are things I think about all the time, but I don't get to talk it out with anyone, and like here a person wrote a whole book on it. So I really fell in love with, and I loved going to class. And I would always hear all the time that, you know, people go to college and then they graduate, they get a certain, you know, major, but then they end up getting a job that doesn't even correspond with their major most of the time. And so, and it's very true. And like, but depending on what you want to do, sometimes you need a certain major, but in most cases, you don't always need to. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to college. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I'm going to do something that I really enjoy doing, something I get up and I love going to class and I love learning and get my degree. And then, you know, hopefully I'll find something that I love by getting the degree that I love. So that's something I also would encourage y'all to do if you're don't know what to do or trying to pick and you're thinking at the end point. Maybe don't look at the end point. Think about what you want to do now. Think about what interests you right now and what classes you want to take, because you want to enjoy your college career. And when you get your degree, I don't want to like say, but not okay. They want to see that you got your degree. They want to see you worked hard and you completed something. Like, wow, this person got a bachelor's. They can like have a goal and stick through it to the end. That's mainly what it's for. In some cases like that. So that's what I just encourage y'all to do, just like enjoy the classes that you're taking.
Yeah, for me, similar situation as my peers. I mean, from my advice would just be follow your passion, whatever it is you're passionate about, just go for it, and also just keep an open mind to other things. I know being a transfer student, and me personally being a non-traditional student as well, like I had a big gap between graduating high school and coming back to college. So for me, it was kind of an interesting thing to learn that I actually enjoyed other subjects that I didn't think I liked originally once I started to get more into them. And so, and that's one of the cool things about UCSB is that they have a lot of programs in interdisciplinary classes that cover different disciplines, and they're all really intriguing. And so like for me, my area of emphasis for music studies is interdisciplinary studies. And so that's something, you know, how the other peers have mentioned too, how you can take classes in other departments and see if there's other things that interest you as well. So yeah.
Thank y'all. I have a few questions in my chat, so I'm gonna go ahead and read them. The first one is, and I also just want to say, I believe the general chat is like disabled for everyone, right? So the chat, I mean, your questions are going to us, so y'all know you can't see them in the general chat. But so the first question I have here is, are you guys thinking about pursuing a master's or a doctorate's degree?
Yeah, so I guess I could go ahead and talk. I guess I am thinking of pursuing a master's degree and maybe potentially a doctorate's degree. I do plan on taking a gap year just because I feel like I deserve it, and it's gonna be through like, it's still gonna be like post-COVID. So it's still gonna be COVID era. So I'm thinking I don't want to do everything online. I think 2 years is enough. So I think I'm gonna take a gap year, and I think that's also so like people, when every time I feel like every time people bring up a gap year, it's so controversial. Like everybody has like these like bad ideas about gap years, but sometimes you just have to like take care of yourselves and be like, you know what, I deserve, like I've been in school for how long, you know, like you deserve to take that little break. But I know a lot of people who go in a master's program or a doctorate's program and thrive. So it's really up to you and how you feel like you're going to be able to adapt, and how you feel like you're going to be able to handle that program, or depending the person you are, to be honest. But do whatever is best for you, but I'm taking a gap year.
Yeah, I could go. This is actually a question that I asked my professor from Ed 118. I took Ed 118. Really great class for transfers. I say you should take that. But I asked, I was like, should I go to grad school? Like, what do you think? And then this is someone who's been through it all. And he said, don't go to grad school right off the bat unless you know exactly what you want to do. Because he's like, grad school is not it's not exactly what you think. It's a lot of hard work, it's dedication. A lot of the time, you know, he was saying like you're teaching yourself, you're working with like you know, superiors, but it's a totally different realm of, you know, of higher education, and it's a lot of work. So make sure you know what you want to do, because some people like, oh, I'm just going to go, but you're just locking yourself in for a really long time, a lot of hard work. And he said, you know, even if you are planning, maybe wait a little bit, unless you're 100% you know what you want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait, follow the advice of people who've done it, lived it, who've had to go do all that hard work. And I'm just going to wait and see. Maybe what I'll probably try to do is see if I can get a job right after college and see how I like that. And what a lot of people end up doing is they go back to school later. It's like, okay, I've done this job. You know what? I think I really want to do this now that I've had real life experience, and this thing that I want to do requires this. Now I'm going to go and do that. Versus going in, it's like you don't really need it. You spend all this extra years doing it and you don't, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Not that it doesn't matter, but you know what I'm trying to say. So it's a big dedication is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I can jump in. So I had mentioned I'm currently in the process of applying to law school. And so every situation is a little bit different. But I think really like the advice that I would have for that too is just really kind of how Dominique said, like, and really look into research what you want to do, but at the same time realize that everyone's a little different, because for for instance, for law school, like even the majors, like there's no like one major. A lot of people think like, oh, I need to be poli-sci, I need to be history. But I mean, it's really not the case. Like to take any major, there's no preference if you talk to the admissions officers. And it's also one of those things where like, for instance, that particular area of emphasis is a little bit more open. Like maybe you want to get into political service, maybe you want to do business, like maybe you actually don't want to be a lawyer, which sounds kind of weird. Like, why would you go to law school not to be a lawyer? But it's more common than you might think after you actually research and look into it. So just keep an open mind. And one of the quick thing I would say about that too is if you do, and if you're a transfer student, I know one thing that was kind of hard for me, and a lot of counselors would say, oh, like take a gap year, which is definitely not a bad thing. But try and start thinking early about your letters of recommendation and building those relationships with professors. So that way that's something that will just, that you don't have to think about at towards the end, because there is a slight disadvantage of getting to network and meet and research with professors being a transfer student, at least from my experiences.
Thanks, y'all. Before I go on, move on to the next question, I just wanted to highlight two things that y'all brought up that are very important. And it's, you know, UCSB Career Services loves to say this too. Like, if you don't know what you want to do in grad school, like don't go to grad school. And then, you know, Adam is a music major and is, you know, applying to law school. So definitely, you know, major does not equal career. So really great points. So the next question here, it says, how do you talk to your professors even if you don't have questions at first?
I can go. I kind of, you know, I'm not awkward, but I was like, I knew like letters of rec are really important for like getting jobs or like research and grad school and all of that. Because I didn't know what to do. So I made it a point of myself to always introduce myself to my professors after the first day. Whether they remember me later or not, you kind of make that initial, hi, my name's Dominique, nice to meet you, I'm excited to take your class, you know, and they really appreciate that. And then there's always questions you can ask. Like if you look at the syllabus, you might not know every single thing, and you can just like take that extra moment, like go to their office hours, like, hey, I wanted to like ask about this, or, you know, talk about the reading. Like, oh, I read the reading and I just wanted to know if you could clarify this point. And so, I mean, you might be able to get away with like, you kind of know it, but just making that step to show the professor that you're engaged, you want to learn, you're there, really helps make that connection. And as a transfer student, you know, I only get 2 years to make those connections. And, you know, it was very apparent to me, and people would always tell me that. So I felt that extra pressure to, you know, to really be known with my professor, at least my major professors, like if I'm like my comm professors. And then just trying to, you know, be engaged in my classes. Like if the professor asks a question and, you know, I think I kind of know it and no one's raising their hand, being that person to like at least try. So I know that can be hard. We have social anxiety, you know, sometimes we don't want to talk, but it's just taking baby steps. And then maybe with Zoom, you know, reaching out through email, that's like always like really good, just so they get used to seeing your name and knowing you're a student in their class.
Yeah, thank you, Dominique. That was really cool. Something also is people sometimes forget, but UCSB is a research institution. So yay, I'm so proud of everybody here. Y'all made it. Yay. Yay. Like UCSB is such a good school. So something I would recommend is going online, going to your department and like looking up that professor. They're going to be there. And then there's like an intro of who they are and what they do. And if you're really interested in doing that, then go like look them up, you know, like Google them, or like go to the school website and figure out who they are and what like their research, what they research about, and then so show some interest in that. Be like, hey, I see you're researching about one of my professors, I'm going to use her as an example. I see that you're researching about like race and racism in France. I'm really interested in that, you know, like I think that's really cool. So and then like that professor had a book, so if you like really want to go like the extra step, read their book, you know, like find an audio book, you know, like listen to their book and then go and be like, hey, I had some questions about your book, I'm really interested in it, I'm really interested in the work you do you have any like, and even if you want to take a step further, be like, do you have any like are you looking for any like research helpers, like I could help like with your research project, like this is something, I read your book and I'm interested, but this is something I'm also struggling with. It's also hard to like actually do all of these steps. So just like Dominique said, like introduce yourself, ask questions, go to office hours. Sometimes it's still kind of hard for me, like I said, to like think, oh yeah, professors are also human, you know, and they also have like, they're just like us. So it's, and I keep saying this, like trying to convince myself too, and I know it's intimidating, but you guys got this. So just go in there, ask them questions, or also introduce yourself and be like, hey, so what are you, and a good question to ask is be like, oh, what's your research about? And maybe they'll just talk for hours about it, since like, you know, they're here. Most of the professors here are doing their own research already. So that's something that they're interested in. So maybe they'll chat your ear off. But yeah, do that.
Yeah, I could go. It's cool too. Even just kind of what we had mentioned before is like talking to your peers, like because they have mentioned things that actually that I haven't done or made me think of things that I've done in the past that relate to that. But my strategy was always just kind of how Monica said at the end, just introduce yourself. Like, don't even necessarily worry about like what questions to ask, but just go in and be like, hey, my name is Adam. Like, you know, I'm a transfer student. I'm excited to be here, excited to take your class. Like, look forward to learning from you. And like sometimes that's all you need to really get the discussion going, and how Pearson mentioned, but also too, just knowing that that like how Monica said, they're people as well. From my experiences, which don't want to generalize, but generally speaking, like every professor that I've encountered at UCSB that I've had is very open and very cool. So you know that like they're people as well. Like they're excited to tell you about what they're working on, and just going in, saying hi, and just being cool. It can go a long ways. So yeah.
Thank y'all. Yeah, professors love to talk about their work, so can never go wrong. If you don't know what to ask, they will definitely talk to you about their work. So the last question that I have in my chat is what type of internships oh, actually this one's for Dominique because you're the comm major. So what type of internships / research opportunities were you able to do as a communications major?
Ooh, yay. Okay. So I really love like broadcasting, news broadcast, journalism, and stuff like that. So I was actually a news anchor in downtown Santa Barbara at TVSB, and I first started off like doing a lot of like the tech work and audio technician, miking, and editing on Final Cut Pro. And then I, you know, talked to my supervisors like once I was there for a while, like, hey, like I'd really want to like, you know, have the opportunity to like maybe try anchoring, or like if there's ever an opportunity, would I be able to jump in and do that? And they did. So there was something there was the Santa Barbara Film Festival that is downtown every year, and like the celebrities come, and so they sent me and a few interns, and usually people just like, you know, they get an interview with like maybe like a producer or a writer, but I was lucky enough to like get into the front, and I was able to interview Casey Affleck, Ben Affleck's brother, who's in one of those movies, and then Jeff Bridges and Michelle Williams. And I like brought the footage back, and I actually like, look who I got, blah, blah, blah. And we were all excited. And so they gave me like the lead on that. And so I ended up getting my own segment called like South Coast Spotlight. And I was able to like, you know, pick any topic that I wanted to do in Santa Barbara and anchor it and be like the host of it. So sorry, it's just an internship that I really enjoyed. And so I like found out about that through the internship fair and the org fair. Like all these people come and they really want you, you know, to be engaged, and they want students. Y'all are new, and you bring new skills and talents to the table, especially being first gen. Y'all have like different point of views, and oh my gosh, sorry, my dog, point of views to bring to the table. And so really like take advantage of that, go to the fairs, talk to people. I know it's hard, and it's hard right now because COVID, but you know, everyone's trying to do it virtually. So those are one of the internships that I did. I'm also at Transfer Student Center, and so, you know, I really like working with people and helping people. I worked at the Academic Counseling Center at SBCC, so that's kind of, it helped me bridge into that, working with people face to face and help counseling. I was talking to my roommate today. I kind of got thrown in back then, and I kind of had to figure everything out on my own, or like start answering the phone. Okay, I'm gonna switch because my dog's barking a lot. But yeah, really take advantage of like the org fairs. We have virtual ones, so keep your eye out for that. Also, if you're comm, there's a comm listserv, and I get like different emails every single day. Oh, paid internship for comm majors, or a job for comm majors. And it's always, I'm getting like ones all the time. So you should be on the comm listserv. I can like look into that too if you're not on it, and then maybe like give it to Mika or like someone, and they can send it out. Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Dominique. That was it from my chat. So, Sophie.
So I do have a question. It's just about how have y'all got involved, and how have y'all been able to make friends through Zoom?
I could go ahead. Actually, Dominique, we had a class together, didn't we?
Yeah, you and I were like the only people that would talk.
Yeah, another thing for everybody to take into consideration is the fact that like if your class is online, like through Zoom, turn on your cameras if you're able to. You know, if you're able to and if you're willing, turn on your cameras. And you know, like that really, because most people don't have their cameras on, so it's kind of hard for like your professor to see you, or to like really like communicate like well, like, you know, even if you're just there and like nodding your head, that does a lot. So that's how I know Dominique was in my class, because we both had our cameras on, and I was like, oh wow, she looks so familiar, and we both participated. So that's like that's a really good thing for you guys to do, like participate if you guys are able to, if you guys are willing to. I know it's intimidating, but it's also like on camera, so you know, like they don't know what you're doing out here, so it's okay. You know, it's a little bit like, it's a little more easy. So you guys got this. But yeah, so how I got involved is applying. Yeah, I applied to anything and everything I possibly could find. So I applied, and it's intimidating, but you have to apply. You have to put yourself out there. I took my resume to go get checked by the Career Center multiple times, go and make like appointments. They're still doing it virtually. So fix up, like get your resume, put whatever you can on it, even if you have no work experience, just things you've done, like things you volunteered in. And yeah, just like take your resume in, and then just like apply to anything you can. And during your interview, they also do you could also like take an interview with Career Center. So if you're a little like, if you feel insecure about like interviewing or being interviewed, they do that too. So it can be really helpful. So yeah, apply.
I have one thing, sorry. Okay, so Shoreline, if you might have heard of it, but basically Shoreline is how all the orgs on campus are gonna be publicizing their events. And so the one like thing orgs really want is to grow. They want more members for their organization. So don't feel like, oh, they're not going to want me or they don't want me there. Like, no, they want you. Trust me. Like my org, we want people all the time. And so what we're going to do, so for SEAL, what we're doing is we're hosting more org fairs than usual because everything's online, so they're virtual. So if you go to just Shoreline, UCSB Shoreline, and then you log in with your net ID, you'll be able to access, it looks like Facebook. It's Facebook, but all the orgs, registered orgs that are on campus. And then there's like a feed, like a news feed, like regular, like Twitter, like Facebook, and all the orgs post their events. So if you see an org that you're really interested in, you're like, oh, like I think I might want to go to that. They'll have their Zoom link, they'll have the day and the time, and you go and join. And they're gonna have like interactive games, like people play Kahoot, or there's like fun phone games that you play and you like get to talk to people. And it's kind of like how it would be in person, but just online. So I would really utilize Shoreline to try to get involved with more orgs and social groups on campus.
Yeah, just how Dominique and Monica had mentioned, I think a lot of times too, there's like this misconception that everything's virtual. There's like a virtual wall built up, but it's really not the case because everyone's kind of in the same situation together. So it's just good to know that people are looking for you, and even at the same time you're looking to be a part of an organization. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And then just continuing too with the intern topic, where it's like same thing, is like just keep an open mind, ask questions, because like for same thing, like professors are looking to connect you with people to build their reputation the same way that you're trying to get in positions to build your resume and reputation. So I think that's important to think about. For me, for instance, like I had a professor who was the conductor of the jazz band, and I'm not a good enough instrumentalist to be in a jazz band, unfortunately, but he was connecting me with people once I realized like, oh, you know this guy, and you know this guy, like when they come to town, like I put on the event, and it's like, oh wow, that's cool. And then of course virtually you might think like, oh well, how am I going to go say what's up to him? But just drop them an email. If you have them in class, go to the virtual office hour, do all the things that we have been talking about up to this point. And then similar to just staying involved is just be open, just give people a shout in the chat. Just say, hey, what's up, man? Like, I liked your presentation. I like this. This was cool. Like, let me know if you want to get up and work on some study together or whatnot. So I think that's important. For me, when I had a music class, it was at the end of the class, we had a presentation where everyone played their song. And so for me, it was cool because then people would comment and be like, hey, man, that track was awesome, or that track was dope. I like this, I like that. And so it really just gave you a chance to realize that we are all in this together and everyone's trying to support each other. So just be open-minded and know that it's all good.
I also want to add something really quickly. Sorry. If I'm assuming a lot of you guys have either Facebook or Instagram. So a lot of like UCSB information is on Instagram. So if you just look like if you guys are transfer students, which I believe you guys are, you could follow the TSC, which I believe you guys already do, the Transfer Student Center, the Transfer Student Alliance. I mentioned I was part of the Transfer Student Alliance. You could follow them on Instagram. Also, I mentioned I was part of CIRC, so if that's something you guys are interested, you guys could follow them on Instagram as well. There's also a lot of the clubs have Instagrams, so you could follow them on Instagram. There's also for the transfer students in here, there was a new transfer student page that Brandon, one of the co-chairs of the Transfer Student Alliance, created, and it's called like the Transfer Students, I don't even know, but it's a Facebook page and it's UCSB First Transfer Student. So just go ahead, and I've seen a lot of people be posting like, hey, I'm a transfer student. If you guys are interested in like social, like meeting up and being like social distance and getting a cup of coffee, like I would be interested in that. So that's a way you guys can make friends. That's a way you guys could stay connected. And yeah, follow the Instagram, follow on Facebook. There's also something called Free for Sale. And it's basically people just sell stuff. So if you moved into IV and you need a bike or something like that, you could maybe find it there. So yeah, all of these, like Adam says, just because we're online doesn't mean there's like a barrier built. If anything, maybe it can be a space where we become closer, since we're able to all be in different places all at once. So yeah, take advantage of that. Follow pages.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for sharing. And as I see, it's 4:45, so we're coming to an end. Thank you, Monica, Adam, and Dominique for joining us, and thank y'all for participating. If y'all haven't already, we sent the link for the sign up in the chat, and